Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we're putting in a sump pump and some footer tiles in a crawl space. You can kind of see the area over here. We're going to put the sump pump. Little obstacle, we've got the air conditioning line. Watch out for that cord, you guys. We're also going to be putting footer tiles along this wall. And you can kind of see that water over here. We need to bring that water off this wall down and over to this corner. So let's get started. He needs a light too back there, check. So we're going to go ahead and start digging, and we got to remove the soil from this section here. And we've got this big basin bucket. Can't fill it up too heavy, but we fill this up. It's got a rope on it. We just slide it over to the crawl space door, put that in the wheelbarrow and get rid of it. The footer tiles, which are in the back there along the wall, that dirt stays in here. So that's a pretty simple excavation. Probably only take about 30 minutes to go down this wall, and that'll be ready to go. Okay, so while those guys are finishing up the footer tile, which is the gravel perforated pipe that runs right along your interior perimeter wall, digging the sump pit, the hole for this basin, we'll go ahead and set this basin up. First thing we want to do, drill a few holes in the bottom. We drill the holes because when the basin's sitting this way, if water rushes in, through the gravel that surrounds the pit, if it rushes in underneath, this will act like a boat, and it'll just start to float up. So the pump's heavy and all of that, but you need to let that water come into the pit all around in the crawl space. So let's go ahead and perforate the sides. So once we have the pit perforated, we're going to go ahead and cut off one of these nipples so that we can attach the footer tile to the pit. So our sump pump pit, sump basin, sump liner, it sets up just like this. Where my hand is, there'll be a pipe that comes in, gravel perforated pipe. The pump will sit down in the bottom, and we're all set. Next, we're going to set up our Zoller M53. This is a 1/3 of a horsepower pump, 110 volt. Pumps about 40 to 60 gallons a minute, depending on how high the pump lifts the water. This will pump about 60. So here's your pump. Very nice, self-contained. Here's the Zoller M53 Mighty Mate. This is cast iron body, which is really nice because it doesn't get as hot as plastic. So it can handle a lot more load than other pumps. We start by putting 1.5" threaded male adapter. There's a port here. We screw that into place. Just hand tight as you can make it. Next, we're going to start the riser. We just need a piece of pipe to get above this bar at this point. So we're going to go ahead and glue that up. Good PVC cement. Coat it real well. Push it in. Hold it. And that's set. That's ready to go. Next, we're going to set up our check valve. The check valve is a valve that only allows water to flow one way. I don't know if you can see that from there. There's a little flapper ball in there. It usually has an arrow pointing direction of water flow. This particular check valve can set up to be 1.5" or 1.25" discharge. We need to have 1.5" discharge. So, put on a no-hub. That's the black plastic. Put on a stainless steel clamp. And we tighten that up. Just as tight as your handy dandy drill can make it. Another clamp down here on the bottom. We'll go ahead and set the no-hub onto the pipe. We'll clamp that down as well. Just super tight. Next we're going to set the no-hub. Because we're discharging to 1.5" pipe, it's going to go around the 1.25" hub. Put your clamp on there, tighten that up. Just as tight as it'll go. And then the last thing we'll do is when we hook up the discharge, the riser, we'll put that final clamp in place right here and tighten that all down. So everything's ready to go down into the crawl space.
So don't see a signal.
For sure.
So I'm gonna still leave that power flag there.
That's
just
good
in
stuff.
case.
So finally we're going to go ahead and drill a 3/16 inch hole just for a vent. Something that all pump manufacturers are now recommending so that you don't get a vapor lock between here, between the impeller and the check. Okay, so we've got our sump pit installed. You can see the footer tile comes over. It actually comes, it's going to come right through where you see the hole come in there. That's where the footer tile is. That's gravel perforated pipe. And it actually runs right along the footer, and you can see the overpour of that footer right there, and that's going to collect the water as it's been gathering on this wall and bring it over here to the sump pit. So we already set our sump pump, set it up outside so we can just bring it in here and install it, and basically we'll undo that cord, bring that up for the power. We've got a solid lid that the discharge pipe's going to come through. Next we've got to core this wall. So I'm going to go outside and we're going to drill from the outside in. And looks like there's a block, so 8 inches, and another brick, so about 12 inches that we've got to drill through. Measurement was 1.5 blocks or bricks. We're going to go through right here. And hopefully we're right on center of the sump pit. First, we have to have a hammer drill. So you can see our hole goes right through into the crawl space, and hopefully we're at the right spot. So basically I've already pushed the pipe through, and I'm just going to make a rough measurement. I'm going to use our extra pipe here. We need about 2 saws, so I'm going to measure that, and we're going to cut that off just to get us a rough measurement. This is sitting down onto the check valve, and we're just going to set it up, dry it here first. And you can see that 2 saw measurement was really close. In fact, it might work just fine. Keep good tension on it. But we'll take off about 1 inch of here. Just to be safe. So I'll pull this up so you can see it. Maybe you can see it. We're going to go ahead and hook on our riser and tighten up the no hub, which holds that all in place. Maybe you can see that. Maybe there's stuff in the way. Don't know. Just as tight as that drill will make it. Then we'll set the pump back down in the pit. Next, we'll actually take our lid and our power cord. We've already drilled a hole. Whoops. We've already drilled a hole for these things. Put the riser over it. Also the power cord from the pump. You got to bring that up as well. Bring that up through your hole. Then we can go ahead and set the lid in place. Kind of set up our pump a little bit where we want it. It's So our sump pit and sump pump is ready to go. I'm finishing the last bit of the plumbing job here, and that's connecting our riser with 1.5-inch pipe. Put some good glue on there, stick your 90 on there, let it set up. We're going to clean this pipe off. Remember, this pipe's loose through the wall where we cord for our discharge. Now we're just going to go ahead and glue it up, and this pump's ready to go. So we're all set here. I'm going to wrap this power cord around it just to keep it out of the way so it doesn't drop in and impede the float at all. And when we're all done here, we're going to go ahead and just give them temporary power with the extension cord. And an electrician, the friend of ours I've showed you before, Randy Darnell with Active Electric, is going to come out and put a GFI outlet here on the wall so we can plug it in. So here's the sump pit. We've got our discharge line coming in. We've got our footer tile coming in. We're going to surround the pit with gravel. Discharge riser comes up. Remember, there's a check valve on that pump. Comes up, goes out through the wall. We'll continue this install outside. So these guys are bringing in the gravel by the bag. Just bringing in, they're about 40 or 50 pounds a piece. You can see we've got lots of them back here. Terry's going to go ahead and start pouring them over top of the pipe. We put a small base of gravel underneath, and that is almost ready to go. That it on the gravel? Is that all you got back here? Well, you got one bag?
There should be like 4 right there.
Okay. Okay, so that's looking good. Just keep this gravel coming. So we've started our main trench. If you remember when we started the trench, of course, we hit that sprinkler right away. But here is the first catch basin. Our line goes really deep. It's going to come through this hill where the guys have to hand dig because there's some utilities here that were underground. But it's going to be quite deep down through the hill. Comes on out. We'll pick up downspout here, downspout over there. Comes around. We're actually going to pick up some of the creek bed back there also. Not a lot, but help to keep some of that from really flying through there. That'll all come over to another sump pit right here. Over here we're going to have an M98, which is a 1/2 horsepower pump. We'll bring in these lines I just showed you, as well as the sump pump, downspout, and actually another catch basin up there by the fence. And and another one right over here. So a lot of water coming into this 1/2 horsepower pump, and then we're going to pump that all the way out to the street. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.
So here's Nash and Joe of the Tampa Drain Dudes. We are referring all of our calls in the Tampa area to this company. There's a link to their YouTube channel in the description box. Also, help support our other channel, French Drain Science. It's up and growing. During a rainfall event, water rises in your trench and it comes through at the bottom of the pipe. That's why there's a base of gravel underneath. Well, as the groundwater rises, it comes through the voids of the gravel, floods up into the pipe, and the pipe carries this away. This is called a French drain. We're going to be using 4-inch corrugated pipe. It's perforated and it's slotted. That means it has holes all the way around the pipe. So you dig that trench and you lay out your fabric. We need to add a base of stone. This is very important. This goes under the pipe. Next we'll lay the pipe, and then we'll go ahead and cover all of that with more stone, more gravel. The gravel is important also. Try to use 3/4 inch to 1.5 inch stone. Next we go ahead and lay the fabric back across the gravel. Cut it, trim it, and then pin it so it stays secure. Then finally, we'll go ahead and add our sod, and we're ready to go ahead and test this French drain.